I hope you're well. My name's Barney Wolfwick Smith, and I'm MD of this company here called David that does creative effectiveness. And I'm a close friend of Mark Griffin and Neil and the rest of the team at Purpose Fused, and a very large fan of what they do. Um, Full disclosure, I actually went to school with Mark, so if I do slip into calling him Griff, then please forgive me. Um, Now, Griff's doing this fantastic thing where talking about flowing through 50 as because we went to school, we're about the same age, and as we reach this milestone, thinking about the ways that we get through it. And not that it is just getting through it, there's a lot of positive things as well. But he's doing this amazing series of ways to flow through 50 and asked me to contribute. So I'm going to talk about balance, which is a really interesting thing and something that's a lot easier to do. I find as you get older with more experience and you're less I don't know, het up and full of testosterone as a man. Um, but that's a balance between work and play. It's a balance between looking after yourself and doing things with your family, and it's a balance between, I find, looking after yourself and then how much you give to the world as well. And the way this manifests and the way that I make this useful is that I have a set of SMART goals. And this all started a few years ago when I realised I'd not actually done any real life planning. I just sort of followed my nose and it all worked, which was cool. But I figured that I should probably, as I was coming to the latter stages of my career, have a think about, okay, well, what's the goal? Where am I? What am I driving towards? And so in the links to this, I'll share that with Mark. I ended up finding a personal goal setting thing to do with the things that are important in your life. And it was actually quite a circuitous journey. I wanted to set goals and I found some resources which were all a bit, you know, 20 things to do before breakfast to be a successful whatever. And that wasn't really me. And then some of them which were slightly more spiritual, which is cool, but again, not necessarily me. So this list that I found was quite pragmatic and suited my needs. And I'll just quickly tell you what it is. So what I do with this list is every Monday morning, I take about 5 minutes out and I go through it and balance this thing that I was talking about is just making sure that if I haven't done one of those things for a while, I make sure that I do. And it just provides like an equilibrium. So the things that I think about are career. That's pretty obvious, right? Is everything going the way that I want it? And if it's not, do I need to make course corrections? And if I do, I put that on my to-do list for the week. Financial, obviously. None of us are happy if we're not financially stable, or at least can see the way to financial stability. So I always consider that as well. Education, because, you know, never stop learning is important. And so I've tried to undertake some new learnings around effective science, which is to do with my business, and also improving my skills around governance and understanding how to be a non-executive director and chairman for small businesses, for example. Family, because if you're not happy with your family and those around you, then it can affect all parts of your life. So that's an important part of the balance. And that will manifest with simple stuff like date night or taking a day out with my boy, something like that. Artistic, which might seem superfluous, but it's not to me. I really like doing something artistic. If you don't, that's fine, doesn't really matter. But I do. I take photographs, so sometimes I might go out and take some photos, or I spend a bit of time just doodling. I find it very therapeutic and relaxing. I actually read an article from Psychology Today that says it's the foundation of, or one of the foundations of well-being is to allow yourself to doodle. Attitude is another thing that I check. You know, we're not perfect, and so there might be some weeks where I think didn't quite behave the way that I should have, or I've been noticing something for a while and I think, crikey, I need to round off that rough edge. So that's another important thing I check on each week. Physical, Mark Griff is a very physical guy and former rugby player and takes his fitness very seriously. I do. I find that it provides a mental clarity, especially as you're flowing through 50. which enables me to work more effectively, spend more time with my family, and I'm not so tired. And it's just really important. So making sure that I track my runs each week, so I put them in the diary, and if they're in the diary, they happen. Pleasure is another thing that I take into account, and I think it's really important. Balance, right? This is what I'm talking about. Um, all work and no play makes Barney a very dull boy and a very unhappy boy. So there are certain things that I take quite seriously in terms of my play. For me, that's going to gigs and music. This here is Downloads. I took this photograph with Neil, another member of the Purpose Fuse team, and we regularly go out and see music, and it's just one particular outlet of pleasure for me. For some people it could be eating, it could be going to sports, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I think it's, again, all part of that balance, which is really key. And then the last thing that I think about is public service, because especially as you get older and flow up towards 50, you know, I think most sensible people think maybe I should give something back, or do something to help people around me, or elsewhere in the world. So historically, what I've done to manifest that is run Playing Out on my street, which is an excellent organisation in the UK that applies to local councils, and it means that kids can go out and play on the street. My boy became a bit older, so I wasn't able to do that. So I now mentor some young kids from a disadvantaged area near me in London. Obviously, there's only so much you can do. You can't fix all the problems in the world, but it's just within the wider set of things that you're doing, just having time, just making a little bit of time to do that. And for me personally, I find that I derive some pleasure from that, and hopefully I'm giving back a little bit to the world. So yeah, balance is the subject of what all of this is about. And more broadly, I think it's one of the largest problems in the world at the moment is the lack of balance. People are driven to extremes in their political views and their ideological views. So for me, I think balance is a really, really helpful practice to keep me grounded and aware of not becoming an old grumpy guy, and just accepting the world around me a bit more. Anyway, take care. Cheers, guys.